What do you mean by that? They just can't afford to buy a new house. It doesn't mean they don't have money for renovations. From Dong Wanfang's somewhat impatient tone, it wasn't hard to tell that he disagreed with me. I chuckled. What you're talking about is a high-end apartment complex. Aren't there also places that cost 20,000 a square meter? Perhaps you've never been to that area to take a look. The people living in that complex are mostly elderly, and a small portion are young people striving to make a living. First of all, the elderly would absolutely never spend that much money on renovations. As for the young people hustling, as soon as they save up enough money, they will definitely move out. Those apartments are too small, completely unsuitable for getting married. This means that for them, economical and practical is still the best option. To be honest, forcing designers to swap materials was something Dong Wanfang had done plenty of times. But normally, designers didn't need to explain this much. I was patiently explaining things to him for half the day. Even a block of deadwood would have understood by now. He was doing it on purpose. If Dong Wanfang wasn't in desperate need of money lately, there was no way he would force me to change the materials. After all, this design had already been finalized by Shen Yuxi. It was just that his mother-in-law had been in a car accident a few days ago, and the medical bills alone had already cost over 100,000. This old housing renovation project was a massive one. The design commission for these two buildings could rake in over 100,000. So no matter what happened today, he had to make me change the materials. I was just relying on the fact that my design was outstanding. A newbie who had only been here for a month daring to go against him. Dong Wanfang said sarcastically. I didn't expect designer Lin to have such a strong personality. Si Qingqing had originally just come to deliver the umbrella, never expecting to overhear a conversation like this. She wanted to keep listening, but eavesdropping wasn't exactly a good look. She hurriedly knocked on the door. Hearing the knock, Manager Dong's face darkened as he looked toward the glass door. Seeing that it was CEO Shen's assistant, he quickly stood up, his expression turning incredibly enthusiastic. Assistant C, what brings you here? The expression on his face looked exactly like a disfavored concubine seeing the emperor drop by for a visit. Si Qingqing smiled politely, her gaze shifting toward me, who was still sitting in my chair. CEO Shen told me to bring you an umbrella. After saying that, she added another sentence. CEO Shen said that once you're done with your work, you should head over there. She has something to discuss with you. At this point, Dong Wanfang was completely dumbfounded. He adjusted his glasses looking at Si Qingqing in disbelief, and then at me. What in the world was going on? Why would CEO Shen send me an umbrella and even tell me to come to her office after I finish my work? Whenever CEO Shen needed someone, wasn't it always come to my office immediately? Yet she was letting this kid wait until he was done. The 5-year veteran employee expressed this was the first time he had ever seen anyone get this kind of treatment. I took the umbrella and smiled politely. Si Qingqing, having delivered her message, shot Dong Wanfang another glance before finally turning around and walking out. Looking at the umbrella in my hand, Dong Wanfang fell deep into thought. Sending documents or sending a bonus he could understand, but gifting an umbrella carries a very deep hidden meaning. A boss giving an umbrella to an employee, especially right after I pressured him to swap the materials. Dong Wanfang suddenly felt a chill of fear. Right after I said that, CEO Shen sent this kid an umbrella. Is this her way of saying he's under her protection? If that's really the case, aren't I completely screwed? The more Dong Wanfang thought about it, the more terrified he became, breaking out in a cold sweat in the dead of winter. Rather than looking at Dong Wanfang's fat face, I was much more curious about something else. What did the beautiful boss want with me? Don't tell me Mom secretly drugged him again. If so, I need to go check on her right away. Thinking of this, I hurriedly stood up. Manager Dong, we're done talking here. I have things to do, so I'll be taking my leave. After finishing up with Dong Wanfang, I turned around and headed straight to Shen Yuxi's office. Today, Shen Yuxi was wearing a coffee-colored suit paired with a matching silk dress underneath and coffee-colored high heels. The first impression she gave off was pure elegance. Her long, glossy tea-colored hair was neatly pinned up with a gold hair clip. It softened the sharp, professional look of the suit, giving her an overall aura of luxury mixed with a hint of languor, calm, yet incredibly high class. When Si Qingqing entered the office, she was sitting in her chair expressionless, watching the interactions in my family group chat. A cold, aloof female CEO, secretly lurking in her employees' family group chat. No one would believe it if they heard it. CEO Shen, when I went to give Lin Yuan the umbrella, I happened to overhear Dong Wanfang pressured him to swap the materials. Hearing this, Shen Yuxi paused, the amusement in her eyes vanishing in an instant. Swap the materials? Yes, exactly that. Shen Yuxi slowly leaned back in her chair. Her beautiful eyes darkened, her tone taking on a deeper meaning. Is that so? It was obvious she didn't know about Dong Wanfang swapping materials to pocket the kickbacks. But looking at her expression, she didn't seem all that surprised either. In a company with thousands of employees, 50% are just coasting by to collect a paycheck, 30% just put on a show of working hard, 15% actually put in real effort, and the remaining 5% are exactly like Dong Wanfang. The kind who constantly extort others and abuse their positions for personal gain. Shen Yuxi understood this perfectly well. It was a common disease in every company. Compared to Dong Wanfang's behavior, Shen Yuxi was much more interested in me. This highly talented intern who also happened to be her fake boyfriend. What was his choice? What did he say? Shen Yuxi set her phone down, a look of deep intrigue crossing her face. He just told Lin Yuan to swap the materials. I think he must have quite a few material suppliers backing him long term. This kind of person should be fired. He's a parasite to the company. The bad apple that spoils the bunch. Shen Yuxi cut her off. I'm asking about Lin Yuan. Si Qingqing froze, the words catching in her throat. She obediently shut her half-open mouth, her wide eyes staring at Shen Yuxi in sheer disbelief. At a time like this, CEO Shen, shouldn't you be decisively gathering evidence of Dong Wanfang's crimes instead of asking what Lin Yuan said? You're asking about Lin Yuan. Aren't your priorities a bit mixed up? Thinking it was one thing, but she didn't dare say it out loud. Si Qingqing blinked. Lin Yuan hadn't said anything yet before I got spotted, so I just came straight into the office. Afraid Shen Yuxi would scold her for not hearing the whole thing, she guiltily added. But it looked like Lin Yuan wasn't willing to do it. Hearing this, Shen Yuxi seemed to get the answer she wanted, a fleeting smile appearing in her eyes. This was the third time he had surprised her. The first time was his design draft. Even the company's senior designers couldn't meet her standards. Lin Yuan not only met them, but exceeded her expectations. The second time was when he refused the house she offered him. The number of people who could do that could be counted on one hand, but he actually did it. The third time was right now, a freshly graduated intern daring to go against his superior's orders. Is he really not afraid of getting fired? Dong Wanfang's embezzlement was within her expectations, but Lin Yuan's performance was completely unexpected. It seems this fake boyfriend of mine doesn't just have a good IQ, but solid character as well. A sudden knock on the door interrupted Shen Yuxi's thoughts. I walked in holding 2 cups of coffee. Si Qingqing glanced lightly at Shen Yuxi, turned around, and walked out. CEO Shen, you were looking for me. Actually, Shen Yuxi had already come up with a strategy with her mother's constant nagging about marriage. Calling me here today was precisely for this matter. Shen Yuxi's mother was no ordinary woman. The two of them had been battling wits for years, and there wasn't a trick they hadn't used. She looked at me, leaning forward slightly, her fair hands clasped together and resting on the desk. Her beautiful eyes were filled with absolute seriousness. Have a seat. Seeing her serious expression, I couldn't help but feel a bit nervous. My mother is very hard to deal with. She might drop by for a surprise inspection, so I need some of your personal belongings. I'll give you an allowance. Go buy some new daily necessities and bring them over to my place when you have time. Her tone was completely devoid of emotion, sounding just like she was assigning a work task, but a stray lock of hair falling across her forehead made her look noticeably softer. The beautiful morning sunlight was shining down on her delicate fair face. From this angle, I could clearly see my own reflection in her stunning eyes. There was no denying it. When this woman was serious, looking right at me, I unconsciously felt my heart skip a beat. After finishing our talk, I smiled and walked out. Back in the office, Everyone was dying to know if I was still alive. First, it was Dong Wanfang. Then, it was CEO Shen. Neither of those two were people to be trifled with. The gossip had just died down when they saw me with coffee in my left hand and an umbrella in my right, strolling in as calm as could be. Brother Yuan, what did CEO Shen want with you? Giving you an umbrella? What does that mean? Even though I couldn't figure it out myself, my intuition told me this umbrella wasn't simple. It rained yesterday, so I lent this umbrella to CEO Shen. She was just returning it today. The moment I said that, Xiaoqiu breathed a sigh of relief. So, that fire Yama didn't force you to swap the materials? Only an idiot would swap them. I didn't do it, I said without hesitation. Xiaoqiu didn't expect this kid to be so stubborn. So, Fire Yama didn't give you a hard time? I shook the coffee cup in my hand. Does this look like he gave me a hard time? Saying that, I tossed the cup to Xiaoqiu. This one's for you. I still prefer drinking tea. Looking at the coffee in his hand, Xiaoqiu was completely bewildered. The entire office was bewildered. What the hell was going on here? Old Yuan, who had been here for 3 years, noted that getting food out of Dong Wanfang was a first. What was up with today? It was so bizarre, it was unbelievable. He didn't believe Dong Wanfang would let me off the hook so easily, and even give me coffee on top of it. There was absolutely no way it was that simple. I also didn't expect my colleagues to be this nosy. I let out a sigh, looking at everyone with a helpless expression. Since you guys are all so curious, I'll just lay my cards on the table. To tell you the truth, CEO Shen is actually my girlfriend. What? You don't just dare to dream. You actually dare to say it out loud. Xiaoqiu was the first one who couldn't hold back. CEO Shen was basically a goddess. In the company, outside of work, she never gave a second glance. A total newbie actually dared to claim CEO Shen was his girlfriend. Even a 5-year veteran wouldn't have the guts for that. Don't let anyone else hear you say that. If word gets to CEO Shen, she might literally sew your mouth shut. I was dead serious. Who is CEO Shen? She is an ice-cold demon boss. Someone that ruthless. If she found out I was making jokes about her behind her back, she really might sew my mouth shut. After gossiping in the office for half the day, it was suddenly 11:59. Just one more minute until they could hit the cafeteria for lunch. Quitting time. In the family group chat, my sister Lin Kiki tagged me again, showing off her lunch photo. A bowl of beef noodles, a chicken wing, and a cup of yogurt on the side. I could feel the sheer cluelessness radiating from my sister's photo. Eating that much while recovering. Careful, you're going to get fat if you talk like that. Would my sister-in-law agree? Saying that, she immediately tagged Shen Yuxi. I was speechless. How does Shen Yuxi get dragged into absolutely everything? Shen Yuxi hadn't even said anything yet, but Mom immediately chimed in. What are you two having for lunch? Mom, we just got off work. We haven't even made it to the cafeteria yet. All right. Once you get to the cafeteria, send me a picture of your lunch. She had to make sure her precious daughter-in-law was eating well. If not, she'd have to start cooking for her. I wanted to slap myself in the face. Why didn't I just say I was too busy to eat lunch? Now look what happened. Damn it. Is she the type of person who eats at the cafeteria? I really didn't think this through. I sent Shen Yuxi a message. CEO Shen, how about I treat you to lunch? Shen Yuxi was actually secretly peeking at the chat, just waiting for me to come looking for her. Seeing my message pop up, a smug look uncontrollably appeared on her delicate face. Beautiful CEO, I knew it wouldn't be that simple. The demon boss was starting to act up again. CEO Shen, I'm begging you. Looking at the message I sent, an image unconsciously popped into Shen Yuxi's head. The image of me sincerely begging for mercy in front of her. Kid, aren't you supposed to be so capable? Come to my office and learn some manners. As for Si Qingqing, she had already laid out the food on the coffee table in the office. Seeing Shen Yuxi looking at her phone, she spoke up cautiously. CEO Shen, your lunch is ready. Shen Yuxi replied without looking up. Get another portion of food. Si Qingqing stood frozen in place. She thought she had misheard. CEO Shen has been acting way too abnormal since last night. Normally, she only eats half a portion. Today, she wants 2 portions. Right at that moment, Dong Wanfang knocked on the door. Come in. Shen Yuxi crossed her arms and glanced at Dong Wanfang. Not doing your design work. Not making things difficult for the designers. What do you want with me? The iceberg spoke. Dong Wanfang felt the temperature drop by 10 degrees. He was both freezing and panicking, so terrified that his palms and forehead were dripping with cold sweat. CEO Shen, I'm so sorry. My mother-in-law is severely ill. I really had no other choice, which is why I came up with the idea to swap the materials. I won't ever dare do it again. Won't dare do it again? You already did it, and you say you won't dare. Swapping materials without discussing it with the homeowner and going to the designer instead. Have you ever thought about what would happen if the homeowner decided to change the entire design? Her voice felt like it carried countless invisible swords, all aimed straight at Dong Wanfang. Dong Wanfang was so scared, he almost stopped breathing. His legs couldn't stop shaking. CEO Shen, I'm sorry. I really won't dare do it again. I truly know I was wrong. Shen Yuxi gave a faint smile. Her pleasant, authoritative voice echoed through the office. I never accept apologies. If you make a mistake, you pay the price. If I forgive one Dong Wanfang today, 10 more Dong Wanfangs will appear tomorrow. Dong Wanfang sucked in a breath of cold air. His mind was buzzing loudly. It was over. He had elderly parents to care for and young kids to raise. Now, his mother-in-law was in the hospital. His kids were about to start middle school. He needed money for absolutely everything. He was the sole breadwinner for the entire family. Losing his job meant his whole family would be out on the street starving. Shen Yuxi was about to say something else when she felt her phone vibrate. Normally, whatever Shen Yuxi was about to say, she would have completely cleaned out this bad apple first. But now, with my family group chat, she suddenly felt their messages were very important too. She picked up her phone and immediately saw my message. Her slender fingers danced across the screen. Don't call me CEO Shen anymore. It won't be good if you get too used to it. I was stunned. Then I breathed a sigh of relief. Then I'll call you Xiaoxi like they do from now on. Xiaoxi, it's time to eat. Shen Yuxi sat at her desk. Her beautiful almond eyes were glued intently to her phone screen. After a long moment, her lips curled up slightly. Her red lips showed a slightly unnatural expression. Xiaoxi compared to CEO Shen. The former felt official, the latter felt distant. Everyone in the family group chat were elders. It was natural for them to call her that, but she was 4 years older than me. Shouldn't I be calling her sister? I immediately reacted. Then I'll call you Sister Shi from now on. Dong Wanfang was still standing in front of the desk, sincerely apologizing. Right now, he looked just like a criminal waiting for his sentence. Is it life or death? You have to say something at least. Yet, this CEO Shen simply refused to speak. Not only did she not speak, she just casually kept looking at her phone. He stared intently at Shen Yuxi, not even daring to breathe too loudly. Shen Yuxi looked at the message I sent, a faint smile appearing on the corners of her mouth, a smile like a blooming lily, pure and beautiful. Dong Wanfang had never seen CEO Shen smile so purely before. It was truly beautiful. It's just that right now, his mind was full of his own dirty deeds. He was so scared his soul was about to leave his body. Shen Yuxi stretched her legs out, leaning back in her chair. She found a relaxed posture and continued chatting with me, completely ignoring the trembling Dong Wanfang across from her. What does Sister Shi want to eat? You pick the place, I'll pay. No need. Just come eat at my office. Xiaosai already went to buy food for you. What an understanding big sister. Replying to Shen Yuxi's message, I decisively left the office and headed toward the elevator. Just as I reached the door to Shen Yuxi's office, I heard a cold voice coming from inside. Pack up your things and get out. Dong Wanfang really didn't want to leave this job. Whether it was the benefits or the work environment, both were considered top tier. If he left this place, he was afraid it would be very hard to find another job like it. CEO Shen, break time equals 400 ms / Shen Yuxi leaned back in her chair, too lazy to care about him anymore. She coldly threw out one last sentence. Dong Wanfang originally wanted to beg, but remembering Shen Yuxi's gaze just now, that cold and dangerous look, he ultimately didn't dare open his mouth. He just let out a heavy sigh and quietly walked out. As soon as he stepped out, he saw me standing at the door. I looked at his retreating back, suddenly feeling a bit of pity for him. But there was no other way. Wrong is wrong. No matter the reason, it's no excuse for his embezzlement. In my eyes, there was nothing to pity about a guy like that leaving. But then again, this big sister is seriously ruthless. Up until now, it's only been 2 hours and the guy is already fired. I took a deep breath. Looks like I'm safe. It's best not to mess with her. Seeing me approach, the sharp glint in Shen Yuxi's eyes instantly vanished, replaced by a beautiful soft starlight. She pointed at the dishes already laid out on the coffee table. The rice will be here in a bit. Wait a moment. I nodded. After speaking, I finally looked at the coffee table and immediately froze. Vegetable salad, smashed cucumbers, stir-fried greens, and sweet and sour lotus roots. There were quite a few dishes, but not a single piece of meat or fish. How is anyone supposed to eat this? Seeing me dazed, Shen Yuxi asked, "What's wrong?" "Not to your taste." "It's not just about taste. I literally don't even know where to start. Right now, I just wanted to ask one thing, big sister. Since when did you become a Buddhist monk? Does a meal like this match your tens of millions in net worth? Lunch is great, but let's not do this next time." I took a deep breath and sat down at the coffee table. Shen Yuxi was taken aback. "It's great, so why? Let's not do this next time." Regarding what I just blurted out, she was completely clueless. Just as she was feeling annoyed, a knock came from the door. Seeing Si Qingqing had returned with the rice, she walked in. Instinctively glancing at the coffee table, almost instantly, her eyes widened larger than brass bells. Shen Yuxi didn't expect Si Qingqing to make such a face. She didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Raising an eyebrow slightly, she asked gloomily, "What is it?" Si Qingqing remained silent. She had always thought that a woman like Boss Shen would definitely find a super domineering CEO for a boyfriend. Only a domineering CEO could match Boss Shen's cold and aloof soul. She never expected it to be this guy, the new intern, Lin Yuan. Her impression of him was that he was smiley and humble. He even cracked jokes from time to time. That kind of vibe has absolutely nothing to do with a domineering CEO. Okay, could it be that Boss Shen is into this type? This is just too unbelievable. Seeing him not moving, Shen Yuxi's cold and arrogant voice carried a hint of amusement. "Why are you spacing out? Waiting for me to spoon-feed you?" This Si Qingqing was always so loud and chaotic all day. She didn't act like an assistant at all. Hearing this, Si Qingqing hurriedly waved her hands. "Boss Shen, enjoy your meal. I'll be heading out now." After saying that, she quickly ran out. She didn't want to eat with Boss Shen. Boss Shen had been keeping her figure these past few days, eating like a rabbit. She was a professional foodie. She didn't want to be a rabbit. Just now when getting the rice, she saw that the cafeteria had braised pork trotters today. Si Qingqing quietly slipped away. In the spacious office, only I and Shen Yuxi were left. Shen Yuxi sat on the sofa next to me. Crossing her beautiful legs, she picked up the chopsticks on the table that Si Qingqing had laid out. With a graceful movement of her slender fair fingers, she gently picked up a cherry tomato and popped it into her mouth, her red lips moving slightly. Watching the beauty eat, I gulped. Not because I was craving it, but because I genuinely didn't know where to start. How am I supposed to eat this? I was a bit curious. "Sister Shi, do you normally only eat this stuff?" "I haven't had time to work out lately. If I want to keep my figure, I have to eat light." After Shen Yuxi spoke, she picked up another cherry tomato. I was astonished. Good Lord, she's already this skinny and still wants to lose weight. You couldn't blame me for being surprised. Shen Yuxi's figure was truly stunning. Standing at 1.7 meters with perfect slender shoulders, there wasn't an ounce of extra fat on her arms. Her tiny waist looked like it could be held in one hand, and her long legs were perfectly straight and slender. Absolutely flawless. Delicate and fair. So supple it looked like water could be pinched out of it. Someone like this still wants to lose weight. Shen Yuxi saw the overly shocked expression on my face and found it amusing. A hint of joy slipped into her arrogant tone. "Flattering me won't get you a raise." I had to admit, I really knew how to compliment someone. It seems my image in her heart is quite high. Health is the greatest asset of the revolution. A good figure is just a bonus. After saying that, I looked at the sea of green on the table again. I need to add a chicken leg today. If she isn't eating meat, I still have to. I decisively stood up and ran out of the CEO's office. I had to go buy a chicken leg. Having lunch without meat isn't just a joke. Watching my retreating back, Shen Yuxi's bright eyes showed a hint of helplessness. We're in the middle of eating. Where is he going? Leaving the CEO's office, I headed straight for the first-floor cafeteria. I grabbed 2 chicken legs and noticed they also had some nuts. I couldn't resist grabbing a portion of nuts too. Chicken legs and nuts. Thinking about Shen Yuxi wanting to lose weight, I conveniently bought a cup of yogurt as well. Only then did I carry the food I had gathered and quickly sprinted back to the CEO's office. With me gone, Shen Yuxi simply stopped eating. Instead, she returned to her desk to review some documents. Before she could even turn 2 pages, she heard my voice. Come eat this. The chicken legs in our cafeteria are seriously amazing. Because it was winter, the temperature was quite low. I was afraid the meat would get cold, so I walked very fast. As I came through the door, I looked a bit out of breath. Beneath my buzz cut on my broad forehead, a fine layer of sweat had formed. I was holding 2 disposable lunchboxes in my hands, smiling at her. When this clean-cut young man looked at her, his eyes and brows were full of smiles. Shen Yuxi was slightly taken aback. So he was in such a rush just to go buy chicken legs for her. This guy actually seemed to know how to take care of people. Buying food is just buying food. What's the rush? Her face remained expressionless, but her fair hand pulled a tissue from the box and handed it over. Along with the tissue came Shen Yuxi's unique fragrance. There are reports that say smelling a scent you like will make you subconsciously relax and put you in a good mood. I felt this report was spot on. This was the second time I smelled Shen Yuxi's scent. It wasn't perfume. It was a faint floral scent like lilies blended with jasmine, subtle and elusive. I really liked this scent. I casually took the tissue. When our fingertips brushed against each other, I could clearly feel the softness of her fingers. The 2 sat back down on the sofa. I picked up my chopsticks, grabbed a chicken leg, and placed it in Shen Yuxi's bowl. Boss Shen, this chicken leg is a must-order at our cafeteria. Because I ran fast, the chicken leg was still steaming hot. I was very satisfied with this. After saying that, I put the other one in my own bowl. Once the chicken legs were sorted, I placed the yogurt in front of Shen Yuxi. Drinking yogurt is the best for weight loss. It promotes digestion. Looking at the yogurt in front of her and the chicken leg in her bowl, a strange feeling began to spread in her heart. His care was genuine. It wasn't flattery, nor was it a deliberate attempt to curry favor. It was just like the elders in his family group chat, natural, sincere, and casual. It made people feel very comfortable. She didn't expect this carefree guy to have such a thoughtful side. Just so she could eat a hot chicken leg, he ran until he was sweating. Knowing she was losing weight, he specifically brought back yogurt. Looking at him, Yuxi inexplicably felt a trace of fondness. In the prime of his youth, with clear skin, handsome, and quite capable too. Someone like him should be very attractive. So, why didn't he have a girlfriend yet? Shen Yuxi's beautiful eyes shifted slightly, looking at me curiously. Why aren't you dating anyone? I swallowed the rice in my mouth. That's a sharp question. Why aren't you dating anyone? Shen Yuxi didn't expect me to turn the question on her. She said flatly, dating means having to get married. Marriage is basically a gamble, and reality has proven that 9 times out of 10 you lose the bet. I don't like gambling. I didn't hesitate at all. I'm not as deep as you think. It's just that nobody wants to date me. After saying that, I stuffed a piece of pork trotter into my mouth. Right after graduating, I poured all my energy into international competitions. I barely had enough time, let alone time to find a partner. Such an answer was so incredibly honest and straightforward. So straightforward that Shen Yuxi couldn't hold back and burst out laughing right then and there. Seeing her brows relax, starlight dancing in her charming eyes, and her red lips curving into a smile, I felt the temperature in the entire office rise. She was genuinely smiling so happily. But, could you tell me what's so funny about this? Laughing so genuinely like that is going to make me really embarrassed, you know? Seeing my resentful gaze, Shen Yuxi smiled radiantly. I just didn't expect the reason to be so simple. Such an outstanding guy, yet nobody likes him. I haven't been graduated for long. I'm in the prime of my youth. You're making it sound like I've let down 8 generations of my ancestors. Speaking of auntie, Shen Yuxi frowned slightly. Oh right, we still haven't taken the picture. After saying that, she hurriedly picked up her phone. How could she forget something so important? She quickly tapped into the family group chat, decisively snapped a photo, and sent it to the group. Su Qifan had been waiting for Shen Yuxi's message for over half an hour. Hearing her phone ping, she didn't even bother washing the dishes. She decisively pulled off her gloves and grabbed her phone. Sure enough, her daughter-in-law had spoken. She excitedly tapped on the photo, but the more she looked at it, the more something felt off. The distance between these two meals was too far. Logically speaking, this is their honeymoon phase. They should be wishing they could share the same bowl of rice. But in this photo, one meal is in the top left corner and the other is in the top right corner. This proves the two of them are sitting very far apart. On this side, seeing Shen Yuxi send the photo, I also put down my chopsticks. I picked up my phone, ready to wait for my mom's reply. Normally, when Shen Yuxi spoke, it wouldn't take more than 3 seconds for my mom to absolutely reply to the message. But today, there was no reaction for half a minute. Intuition told me that something was definitely wrong. I quickly tapped on the photo Shen Yuxi had sent. With one look, I spotted the clue. Don't be fooled by my mom's usual easygoing nature. Whenever it came to my marriage, she was as sharp as a needle. There was a problem with this photo. I briefly explained it to Shen Yuxi. I even analyzed my mom's current mood and figured out more than half of what she was thinking. After my explanation, Shen Yuxi also felt that things weren't looking good. So what do we do now? As a pleasant fragrance wafted over, Shen Yuxi's captivating queen-like voice rang out. Give me your hand.